Welcome, I am Ileana. Today at the table we will be making our own tarot deck from playing cards. This is not just writing the names of the tarot onto playing cards. It only uses 44 of the cards for divination, but don't worry, we have good use for the rest of the cards. This is a deck that I created. I have decades of tarot reading experience, and I have noticed the major themes that are expressed by the tarot. I decided to create this deck so that it would be easier to bring a deck with me. I call it my camping deck because once I was going camping with some friends and I thought it would be a good idea to bring some tarot, a fun activity to do at the picnic table by the campfire, I thought. I brought a beautiful deck that I used a lot, and unfortunately it was damaged badly during this camping trip, and I could not use it again. I'm not talking about some scuffs or dirt or something. It's a long story. Anyway, as unhappy as I was about the destruction of my treasured deck, I still thought the idea of bringing tarot to a camping trip or barbecue or whatever get-together was going on was a good idea. I decided to protect my decks and came up with my own. With this deck, you can bring it anywhere. It's so easy to throw in a bag, comes in its own little perfect box. You can use it for playing cards as well. And best of all, if it gets damaged, it's as easy as a trip to the dollar store and a few minutes with a marker to replace. Some of you heard me say that you could play cards with this deck and are feeling like that is disrespectful to the tarot. When I first started bringing this deck with me and using it at parties, I also felt that weirdness. Was I diminishing the sacredness of this powerful divination tool by using it so casually? Obviously, the answer I came up with was no. I'll explain after we create the deck. If I am going to play cards, this is not the first deck I go for, but in a camping situation, if no one else brought cards, we have used these. I'm telling you, this deck is something special. I had no idea when I created it that it would have the effect on people it has, and just how accurate and easy it would read. Anyway, let's get started. We can talk more after. The supplies you need are a standard deck of cards. Any cards will do. I bought these at the dollar store. I wouldn't recommend using a very special to you deck. Remember, these are supposed to be easily replaceable. I think that the almost disposability of the deck is part of what makes it so powerful. Strange but true. I'll explain later. Next, you'll need a good marker. Any marker that you like will do. I have this black Sharpie, so I'll use this black Sharpie. No matter the marker, after a lot of use, you may have to do touch-ups, but that's easy to do. And that's it. Let's get started. First, take out the blankest 10 cards in the deck. This can vary from deck to deck, but usually it is the jokers and the aces and some of the low-numbered red cards. The point is to leave 44 cards. These are the cards that we will write our keywords on. Put these aside for now, and we'll come back to these, but let's get started with the keywords. We'll only be writing on the top part of the cards. Try not to mark the back of the cards if you plan on having the option to use them as playing cards. Each card has 2 words on it, one on top and one on bottom. It is similar to upright and reverse meanings of a regular tarot. Sometimes the words are opposites, sometimes the words are different levels of the same idea or emotion. You'll see what I mean. These are not just random words I've chosen. These words have been selected based on my years of experience reading tarot, and actually, this is the 3rd edition of the camping deck. As I used it, I noticed what needed to change, and here we are at the perfect finished project. It does not matter which card gets which words. So, ikimasho. Together and apart. Hope and stability. discovery and hidden, temptation and manifest, loud and quiet, confusion and message, forgiving, forgetting, loss and gain, spirit and body, rejection and celebration, sharing and hoarding, setbacks and success, falling behind and getting ahead, restriction and love, connection and separation, luck and talent, new path and memory, gift and surprise, bravery and cowardice, strength and weakness, delay and satisfaction, beginning and completion, gratitude and gratification, recovery and investment, self-indulgence and selflessness, actualization and dreams, bondage and freedom, nurture and nature, expansion and perspective, decision and insecurity, rest and pause, backward and forward, isolation and friendship, inner work and help others, bizarre and banal, power and drain, control and open-mindedness, scarcity and abundance, intuition and deception, quick and slow, denial and acceptance, ignorance and knowledge, rigidity and destiny, blockage and creativity. That's the bulk of the work done. So here are your divination cards. Moving back to the cards we set aside earlier, I was not sure when I created this deck what to do with these other cards, and I came up with an idea. These are going to be our spread cards. I know not everyone likes to use spreads, and you don't have to, but when you bring this deck to a get-together, having these spread cards can add a lot of fun and accessibility. I'll explain after we do the spread cards here. I'm only going to use a few of these cards to write a few spreads right now to save time and to give you the idea. But there are many spreads available online. Just look some up that sound interesting to you and fill out your cards. It's pretty self-explanatory. Just draw the spread on the card, have a little explanation at the side of the placement, what each placement means. And here is the Celtic Cross spread. Although things are a little cramped, all 10 cards and their meanings are here. This is why we chose the most empty cards for doing this. We need the space to write all this information. Great. Now, how do we use these? Usually I ask the person if the person wants to choose a specific spread or wants something random. They can look through the spreads here and choose one. Or, and this is usually what people choose to do, I fan the cards like a card trick and say pick a card. Spread chosen, shuffle the cards with the keywords on them. Make sure you cut and flip half the deck occasionally when you're shuffling, because we have words on both tops and bottoms of the cards. When you feel the cards are ready, just follow the spread card instructions and voila, you have your reading. I said earlier, the camping deck was something special, and even the first time you take it out at a party, you'll see what I mean. There are people who love tarot and spirituality, and they will love that you are doing this. There are people who hate these kinds of things, and They'll stand nearby and watch anyway. But then there are people who are neutral or even skeptical of tarot or the occult, and these are the people who will not only want a reading from you, but will want to do a reading themselves. This is an amazing thing to see, let me tell you. At first, I was worried that the smiles and the laughter were derisive, that someone who is clearly only doing a reading as a kind of joke was a bad thing, that was disrespecting the cards and the spirit of divination. But joy is a great part of life, and getting in touch with your inner power is also an important and fantastic part of life. These people who are joking and playing at doing a tarot reading are still doing a tarot reading. I've seen it time and again. The joy of dabbling with a new toy turns to the joy of feeling the touch of the universal within these people. I'm not saying they walked away and turned their life to one of devout study of the occult, but in those moments when they are doing a reading and things are lining up, you can see the power of tarot and divination and universal spirit in such a pure and innocent way expressed through and in them. And if you're at a get-together, the people you are with are probably people you like, or at least they can respect you enough to know that you have a serious interest in tarot. You'll be surprised, I'm telling you. The energy of this deck is one of happiness and fun. Believe it or not, fun can be part of tarot. This is what I have learned. Yes, tarot is a very powerful and serious thing. The guidance and understanding it provides can change people's lives, but for some reason, this deck, although still powerful and possibly life-changing, has such a light and fun energy. And you'll see that energy on the faces of everyone who gathers to be read and to read. This is another reason to have the spread cards. Anyone can follow instructions that are right in front of them. There will always be people who will absolutely be against this deck and not participate in the positivity. Those people would feel that way about any tarot deck, and that's okay. Not everything is for everyone. I always hope that those people are finding what the tarot can give in some other way, and that their harsh judgment and staunch closed-mindedness is not the only thing they're giving their energy to. So yeah, play cards with this deck. The community spirit and fun of the games do nothing but charge this deck. This deck feeds off of good times and group energy. And if, despite your best efforts to preserve it, it becomes too damaged in some way and needs to be replaced, that's also part of the energy. These get-togethers are temporary things. Our relationships are temporary. Fun is fleeting. The camping deck knows this and is always ready for a refresh. I would advise you to know when to take out the deck and how long to keep it out. People probably don't want to do tarot reading all night, even if we do, and they might be more receptive to it after a drink or two. There's no need to use the spread cards at all. At the last party I went to with my camping deck, a friend simply dealt the cards one on top of the other and did a free-form story-type reading. It was a ridiculous reading that made little sense, and everyone was laughing, but the deck loved it. You'll find it has its own sense of humor. It's really an amazing thing. This deck respects and reflects the seriousness and experience level of the person reading it. I have seen it. There we are. Now you have your own camping deck. Don't be afraid to toss it in your pocket or bag the next time you're going to a fun group situation. Don't be too precious about it. This is your fun deck, even if it sometimes has some serious messages to give. Till next time, goodbye.